It's depressing.
I mean, what on earth is a cum dumpster?
You fuckhead. That is the stupidest thing you interpreted there.
Now I know who's responsible. You are!
Cum dumpster.
Gone forever.
Welcome back to Wish for Death Island Population Me, and today we're tackling another bad series. Look, at first I thought this was just going to be some bad show for teens, but I didn't have anything remarkable to say about it. I wasn't going to talk about a boring show that's a dime a dozen, especially since I don't like watching drama and romance shows because I'm just not interested in those, even if they're good. But I was watching Adam and Pels and saw this scene from season 4, where the main character gets fucking schizophrenia, and then the riot cops show up later and the students throw paper at them and they're like, no, paper, hurty, and then they get defeated. That's when I knew the show was special. We can only do 4 episodes per video because my brain can't take much more of this, but let me fucking guide you through this. Yes, I know this is based on a book, and we can do the book after the series, but as for the series itself, oh god.
You fuckhead. That is the stupidest thing you interpreted there.
I've been fallen!
So it starts with a message about suicide and all that. It directs you to 13reasonswhy.info, where you can learn about depression equals bad. This is because the show inspired a spike in teen suicide after romanticizing and glorifying depression and suicide in a very Tumblr-like fashion. I'll give them a credit for trying with this intro. Like, they could have ignored it, but they didn't. That should mean something, right? This also has awful music that describes exactly the mood and what the characters said 5 seconds ago because the audience is apparently too dumb to figure it out themselves. The Batwoman way, as I like to call it. A handy example of this is the actual start of the episode where the lyrics go, "There's not a simple explanation for the things that I feel." Yeah, 13 of them. That take about 40 fucking hours to get through. But she does acknowledge this and does some shit as if she's on stage trying to be cute, and then sets up this mysterious kind of nonchalant atmosphere for why she killed herself. Oh, your man's on bath salts again. Oh no, selfie girl taking a picture in front of the locker of the dead girl and using a hashtag because they're shallow fucks. That's kind of hilarious because the target audience for the show typically are the type to do that unironically.
What the hell are you doing?
He's looking at the locker. What the fuck are you doing here?
Of course I do, Clay.
Clay. Interesting. But he apparently has some secrets and this guy is very unhappy about it. In the class, the counselor is talking about signs of depression and Fedora Man over here is like,
It's depressing.
everyone in class gets mad at him, but you know that they were thinking the same thing because they aren't even paying attention. There's this awkward as fuck cut that makes it seem like the teacher is like, lol, she did, okay, homework and shit. But Hannah is in a flashback, and Clay, look, I'm not gonna call him Clay, I'm gonna call him Gumby, okay? It suits him more. Gumby is like, hair good.
Thanks, Clay.
The teacher is like, lol, Clay my nigga, what the fuck? And he pays attention again, and the parents go see the locker of the dead girl. Wouldn't they have done this sooner? I feel like a week is a lot of time. But she doesn't have any stickers or anything on her locker, so her mom is all weirded out by this. And Gumby has had enough of wandering around, so he goes to the bathroom where this weirdo is taking pictures. But he decides to go tinkle, and the jock enters the bathroom and talks to his mom. How does he not see you peeking out like that?
I'm sure, Mother.
Mother. This weirdo comes up to him and talks like some middle-aged Bible mom. It's like their lines are dubbed. Like that fucking kazoo video? Is Rem Lazar gonna show up? Is he gonna climb out of the screen and kill me?
Exactly. So true. Some things, just don't have simple explanations.
He gets a ride from Cool Jacket Man, otherwise known as Hispanic Man, because I can't remember his name. He has tapes, and he's like,
You're still in the old media, huh?
So much better.
yeah, that is a thing that young people say. The young people talk about the old media. Copyright music montage. Let me fix it to make it more YouTube friendly.
And smile when you say it. I know, terrifying, but it sells the big lie.
Wow, that's a cool line that isn't obvious. It feels like something I would see on a social media bio. I think that's the entire show summed up. Hannah gives exposition dialogue that says she moved 2 months ago in a very natural fashion.
Oh, right.
Say what you mean, Gumby. Say what you mean.
It's like asking Han Solo how is space.
Wow. You're an actual nerd, aren't you?
Wow, Gumby, you bringing up a major cultural icon that literally everyone knows about is majorly nerdy. Wow, she says that there's courage in being a nerd. I'm sure that that piece of dialogue was more relevant in the 80s, honestly, because nowadays you have people trying to cash in on the nerd market by pretending to be them. But then it goes back to him getting out of the car. Seriously, the flashback cuts in this are so awkwardly done. It's like, nothing really makes sense. You kind of get whiplash every time. Oh no, the music is scary. He found an ominous package on the floor addressed to Gumby. He has to cut it open for the next 57 minutes, but when he finally does, there's a bundle of tapes inside that are numbered, and that's the gimmick of the show. Gumby asks his dad for the radio thing, and they go on about how young kids don't know what a boombox is. I'm pretty fucking sure most of you do. They have an awkward conversation about how Gumby feels. Gumby, you need to learn how to speak words faster, my man, seriously. Then we get the opening again. Sony. He is one of the reasons that she died, apparently. Karen jump scare. The mom fucks around with the tapes and he tries to get her to fuck off, and then she brings up an email from school. He's like, Dad, you don't like me. Dad, why? Then he fucking drops the thing, picks it up for the next 40 minutes and sets it up in his room. But it's broken or something. Did you plug it in? He needs to go to his friend's place because he has the old media. He rides his bike for another 40 minutes and finds the friend helping his dad with a car. So he rides out there specifically like a man on a mission, just to get something for the tapes. And then he's like,
So, Clay, what's up?
Nothing. I was out for a ride.
do thing with car? I Gumby, I help. And he just says that he's not out there for any particular reason. I thought that finding something was a very important reason for you to come out here. They just linger for a while and then he steals the tape thing from his friend. This guy is your friend, right? Why don't you just ask him if you can borrow it and don't bring up the reason why, just say you want to listen to your dad's mixtapes or something. Don't be a shithead, Gumby. Hispanic man is insensitive to suicide and says that if Hispanic son kills himself, Hispanic dad will kill him.
I think you got something that belongs to me. My keys.
Why not just ask for your keys back instead of being unnecessarily intense? So this is confusing. He goes to his friend's house to get help with the tape deck not working, but then he gets there, doesn't mention it, then steals the tape deck from his friend when he could have asked for it. And then the dude isn't weirded out about why this guy suddenly showed up, acted really awkward, and then just leaves. And then he says,
Why the hell am I on this?
out loud. You can show your confusion in other ways rather than like actually just saying it to the camera. But Hannah needs the tapes to be passed on, and if he doesn't, she knows someone who is still alive and will make the tape public, so you have to keep it a secret, including probably not saying shit out loud.
I never did.
Then he does a flip and has a boo-boo. So Gumby goes home and tries to find the map, and the mom is like, wow, you're bleeding, you need ointment. Do the youngsters not like the word ointment? Like, look, I'm 22, so I guess this is a show for high schoolers to watch. I never thought that there was anything wrong with the word ointment, and I never came across anyone that I knew that had this weird reaction to it. Is that what the high schooler kids these days, they don't like the word ointment? Why? Like, I know that the mom wants to help, but there is something weird about her. There's something weird about her performance. She's like a step-through wife or a robot or a lizard or something. He goes back out saying Hispanic man is waiting as an excuse to leave, and she gives him a helmet. Hannah then makes fun of him and masculinity. Tumblr people wrote this. Are they seriously saying maps are old school? People still use physical maps for a lot of things, I'm pretty sure.
No chance for the interwebs to make everything worse, like it does.
You fuckhead.
He's followed by a car and keeps on the road, where he could have ducked into some side street somewhere, but ends up at her house, where we get a flashback of a party and center around Justin, the person who is the subject of the first tape. She threw a party there because Kat, her only friend, is leaving soon, and there's some stupid love triangle bullshit going on. Gumby doesn't like parties and asks for a Sprite, because just what Gumby does. She gets him a beer, even though he didn't ask for that. Look, I am too much of a dorky introvert for parties as well. This isn't really my thing, but there's something wrong with Gumby. Hannah flirts with the jock, who is then chased away by the crazy cat lady, who calls him frat boy Darth Vader. Wow, you are such a nerd bringing up this thing that literally everyone understands. She makes another reference that is so stilted and terrible, I don't know how it happened. I think an algorithm made this show. These can't be real people. She introduces them to some random retards fucking around in the sprinklers, and this man is the intellectual powerhouse of dialogue. I am going to commit sudoku and join Hannah.
So you see, that's where the trouble began. That smile.
They have an awkward conversation the next day after Kat moves away, and the Justin guy just kind of smiles and stands there.
Well, we went home and changed.
Is it profound? Your change.
I hate all of these characters.
But Justin, you're my kryptonite.
Kat is dating hipsters now, the slag, so Hannah stalks Justin's classes right in front of the door as if gonna make her all stealthy. Like, I'm pretty sure he can see you through the window.
Whoa! Careful there.
Then she leaves and starts liking basketball just for him. Typical thought. Gumby is more awkward, surprising. Hannah goes on about how much of a dork he is, and that's his character. Justin shows up and gets the bus instead and leaves his dumb friends to go hang out with Hannah. Justin is dumb some more and Hannah is boring. And then she walks off the damn bus and she doesn't take the bus. So quirky, so unique, so not like other girls, so not confusing. More bad music plays. The mom comes in and just takes his phone and goes all fucking Stepford wife. This is a lizard. Then Hannah meets up with him and they hang out.
Hannah Baker is a slut.
In the tape, she talks about how she had a dream of having a kiss at the playground or whatever, and there's some pretentious monologue. His hand goes a little too far up there, but apparently that didn't actually happen. Then, Hispanic man shows up and sees the Walkman. Apparently he had the tapes as well and knows exactly what's happening. Still, don't you think you could have been a bit less suspicious if you just asked him to borrow it? Apparently there's a lot of rumors about Hannah, but she knows the truth. They're trying to make it out like she's profound, but she's really not. Apparently the jock sent pictures around and Justin was just okay with this even though Hannah's privacy is compromised. Everyone sees it and Hannah gets mad at Justin.
How can we communicate more effectively without the use of emojis?
What is this class? Seriously, what? Do they just... Is this just like boomer class? I guess Hispanic man has some weird shit going on, but I don't know what's happening with him. They have communications class. That's what this is. It still doesn't make it any clearer to me. I've never heard of this before. Hannah says,
Mrs. Bradley doesn't have a clue what it's like to be our age.
as if the people who wrote this understand.
Pardon me, but you really hurt my feelings.
Are any of these halls actually used by the other students? Justin is going to the principal and Gumby stares at Hannah when the halls fill because he's on the bath salts again. This shot takes like 20 minutes. Oh, look, it's time to turn the tapes over. I hate it.
So glad you're still listening. Are you having fun?
No.
Episode 2 begins with people making fun of Hannah, and then Gumby stands there and doesn't really do anything. She quits her job. Bullying is bad. Then these guys do the underpants Charleston.
I'm still dead.
Space? Is Hannah in the cosmos? Something is wrong with this bitch. She is a lizard.
It might even hurt a bit. Or a bit more than a bit.
This monologue. Gumby sees Hispanic man's car, or at least that's what he thinks it is. You disassembling a human there, Stepford wife?
You don't drink coffee.
My boy is a-changin'. Oh no, medication. To be fair, they got him a new prescription without consulting him, and that is pretty out of touch. He's right for being mad about that, they just do it.
Who's keeping secrets? Secret keeping is learned behavior.
This woman is a robot. This fucking shot's a stage play.
High school does that to a person.
Man, I wasn't the same after Nam. But that bitch went through high school, that's worse. Justin isn't at practice. He didn't show up after going to the principal's office.
His ass gonna be running suicides until the lights go out.
It's okay. Gee, I wonder what this amazing mystery about where the jock went will have cool. I'm very invested in all these shitty characters that are completely unlikable. Jessica is the former friend of Hannah. This bitch looks like a meth addict and she's really paranoid because Justin is not answering her calls. She also gets mad at Gumby. The teacher also tells her to fuck off. Jessica is bothered because some teenage drama with cheerleaders, so I zoned out. Then they have this other thing about Hannah because she was friends with Hannah, so drama? Jessica met Hannah because they both went to the therapist because the therapist called them there to make friends because she's crazy. She's a robot too. I think every adult in the show is a robot. They then sass the therapist. She's completely oblivious, I guess. Someone punches him down and he has some awkward shit with his fucking teacher.
Duran?
Realistic youngster dialogue. Something weird about the counselor. Even when they get another counselor character, it's still just as strange. There's something weird about this. They both have the same obnoxious sense of humor. Jessica is always the new kid moving, and I relate to that as well. I was like that in school where I had to constantly move and it was annoying to try and make friends, and then I just kind of gave up after a while. She also tells some weird sex dream story about the Avengers, and you lost me. I do not fucking relate to that shit. Gumby finds Jessica in the present time, who says that Justin walked out of the principal's office and just completely walked out forever, even though Jessica is his girlfriend. So this guy is the thought. These flashbacks are so fucking awkward. Jessica doesn't understand using time directional things like saying 3 o'clock. I guess these high schoolers are really that dumb. I think everyone knows how to use that. So they start harassing this guy and telling him that he has the male gaze, and they act like morons. Motherfucker probably just wants to drink some shit at the cafe. Why you gotta do that? But I guess they're friends now because he gets Stockholm Syndrome. Gumby is getting attendance alerts because someone wants to watch his every move. I guess the lizard mom is finally revealing her master plan. He asks about Justin and she says fuck off. Man from earlier, now in present time, let's call him Draco Malfoy because I already forgot his name, walks in and is very angry.
FML.
And you go shooting with him? With guns?
No, with buckets. What else? There's some more terrible dialogue that ensues when we find out that Jessica's dad is going somewhere for war, and they all are very upset about that. Draco Malfoy stopped hanging out with them because he started hanging out with the jocks. Jessica started fucking Draco Malfoy, so Hannah felt left out. They're still talking in the present day. I guess that's another reason why she committed sudoku.
Are you fat shaming my salad?
Like, as you notice, I'm kind of blitzing through a lot of this drama because it's very surface level, and it's just very strange to see like such a serious subject being put in the same lane as this really awkward, unrealistic dialogue and this really superficial drama. I really like the idea of having someone, not in a romanticizing or glorifying way, have some weird tapes or something left behind, and you have to read through them to figure out why. And there's a lot of stuff in this small town where there's a lot of mysteries and everyone has secrets, and the person who left the tapes is an unreliable narrator. A weird version of We Need to Talk About Kevin, except Kevin is dead in this version, and it could be a really, not necessarily a horror thing, like I'm biased with that because horror is my favorite genre, but anything that could work like that. And the fact that we're getting this and it's such an underutilized concept is just annoying to me. So I'm kind of just demonstrating how annoying it is because it's so superficial. There's nothing else to say other than this dialogue bad, this is bad, you know? I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some crazy shit coming up, so like, I'm trying my best here, but a lot of it's just, I don't get it.
They say retarded, and I don't think that we're supposed to use that word anymore.
Retarded, yes, I think all of you are. So apparently she's jealous of Jessica now because Draco Malfoy fucked off.
I keep thinking you're some different kind of male. Clearly there's no such thing.
You fuckhead.
You see what I say about the dialogue? So Jessica and Draco Malfoy went to the movies. It's really awkward because Hannah decides to be a jerk about it and do that thing where she's like, I'm fine, but she's not actually fine, and she wants them to ask about it, but they don't. They go off and she starts crying. The cheerleading's really bad and the music's bad. What kind of school would allow a routine like this? Is this an American thing? It's kind of strange that that would fly. It looks a bit too sexual for high school. The evil jock won an award for the sports ball competition, but Justin isn't there to be on his team. And that, children, is why Hannah committed sudoku. Gumby walks around for like 40 minutes after the sports ball thing. He finds Jessica still unable to find Justin, and she gets triggered and walks away from him. And still, we don't quite know why she's so angry, besides the fact that her boyfriend's not responding to her. You would think she killed a man or something. There's some intense shit where the jocks want Gumby to come with them, and it looks like they're gonna kidnap him or something, and then the Hispanic dude shows up and Gumby is saved.
Boys talk, girls listen.
Jessica is mad at Hannah for making Draco Malfoy break up with her because she apparently thinks that that's what happened.
He just broke up with me on his own.
Yeah, that's kind of what humans do, though. You ever heard of autonomous humans? They make choices on their own. Draco Malfoy is apparently after Hannah, even though he's really not or something. Look, it's the reasons why Hannah committed sudoku. Take this seriously. Hannah was apparently the one who stopped showing up, not Jessica, which kind of sets up this thing about Hannah being an unreliable narrator. However, it's still later in the show acting like you should take Hannah's word as law. So I guess they're trying to make Jessica look bad, but I'm just watching this wondering why Hannah is an unreliable narrator towards specific things that aren't addressed again. Gumby also asks why the jock suddenly wants to hang out with him, and she's like, I don't know, fuck off. So he does fuck off. They reveal Justin's location at the jock's house. He's avoiding Jessica, and the others are very confused about what's happening, so am I. Hispanic man shows up to Gumby's pity party and tries to knock some sense into him. Is this just the exposition man who turns up for mysterious foreshadowing? Some dick stuck his head down the toilet once and he has to get through things or something. And that was like one of those things. The moral, I think, is that Hannah is a toilet. Jessica shows up at Justin's hideout somehow. She's on the crack again, or the bath salts, I don't know which one. Everyone in this town is on something. I think there's something in the water supply. They foreshadow some other shit on the tapes. Justin did some bad shit, I guess. You know, for something focusing on Justin, there's a whole lot of drama that isn't focused on Justin. Hannah's mom is sad and fucks around at the desk that Hannah used to own. There's also some bullying or something, but they can't take it to court because internet is bad, because the internet doesn't constantly dox everyone that's on it or something. This is like cyberbully again. And then the mom calls the Hispanic kid, showing that they know each other but we don't know how. Run Boy Run by Woodkid plays? This isn't a bad song, but it doesn't fit at all for what's happening. This is not an appropriate song to play. It is so... the tempos are so off with what's on screen and the music. The guy is just driving around and then meeting up with the mom, and Gumby is just standing there confused when he sees them meet up, and then this like really high beat tense song plays in the background. It's very confusing.
Like I said, it's complicated.
No.
I mean, you made the hot list.
Seriously, Clay?
No.
Hannah explains the butterfly effect, and I guess this episode is about consequences or something. Justin has a shitty mum who is on drugs, and there's some weirdo stepdad who flirts with Jessica, so you know that Justin has some drama at home. The jock is still okay with Justin staying there, yet he was apparently supposed to return home. Why is it that ominous? What are you painting? The jock man wants to put up posters, and Draco Malfoy brings up Gloomy Sunday, which is a good song, but these idiots just butcher its meaning. In the past, Hannah was mad at Draco for dating Jessica, which they already covered last episode. There's gotta be some more shit on that.
Is Gloomy Sunday really a song?
No, it's a type of cheese. What do you think it is? So they bring it up as a suicide song, and I'm gonna go off here because I love this song and they're ruining it. So this song was originally composed as a kind of general social malaise kind of thing, where things were so bad that the song kind of uses the idea of this man who's like mourning and lonely, and just kind of using it to encapsulate all of the feelings at the time. And some people took it to use as something that they were going to commit suicide to, and that's really unfortunate, but people refuse to understand how mental health works, so they blame the song instead, and it became like a cursed song that was banned for a period of time. Billie Holiday's cover is one of my personal favorites. It's one of my personal favorite songs, and as someone with depression, it really helps because I can listen to it and then it just kind of feels a bit better. So it's kind of the opposite for me. It doesn't make me sadder, it makes me feel a bit more relieved. Bringing the song up actually works because it's a really similar song to the issue that they're trying to talk about, but it's executed so poorly and dialogue is just so bad, especially concerning the song. It's just not just me getting triggered about bringing up a song that I like, but they could have used it so much better and they don't. And that is one of the biggest examples for why the series just doesn't work. You have so many beautiful references that you could use, but you bring them up just as a lip service to talk about how, like, wow, look at how artsy we are, we know what Gloomy Sunday is, but you don't use it. So what is the point of bringing it up at all? It's more like echoes of meaning rather than meaning itself, where you think you've heard it somewhere so you bring it up, but it's just that. It's just an undulating wave of bullshit. I don't know. So after this conversation, Gumby then brings up the tapes, but Draco Malfoy, even though he knows about the tapes, walks off to play music because he doesn't want to talk about them. Jessica is now seeing a counselor because Draco Malfoy apparently did some bad things to everyone concerning a list, but they'll bring up the list later. There's this awkward cut to Hannah's mom going to see the school. There's a lawsuit going on between her and the school because she's blaming them for Hannah's suicide because of the bullying or something. This flashback The cuts are getting worse, I swear. So the principal brings up that she has a lawsuit against them, yet she's coming here and they shouldn't really be talking about this. He brings it up politely, and I think that he has a good point, but she gets mad and cries in the bathroom. She sees graffiti on the wall and takes pictures for her lawsuit because she thinks it's some sort of groundbreaking thing.
I'm Courtney Crimson.
What kind of a name is Courtney Crimson? It sounds like a parody of a comic book or something. The mom gets cranky because of the memorial made from people who don't really know who Hannah is. Gumby wanted to show Hannah the moon. Hannah says she's gonna howl because Hannah is retarded. Jessica is still cranky that Justin ran away, and the counselor is talking about the kids who knew Hannah because he's trying to figure out what went wrong. But apparently he's not doing a good job because all of the characters are suspicious of him somehow. So they bring up Justin's abusive home, and he's walking around looking at how happy the jock is. That fucking bread-shaped face. Jessica shows up because she knows he's in the house, and they both have a cry together. The principal brings up how the lawsuit is affecting the school, and they wish that they'd known that she needed help before. I think that schools are definitely not good. I hate the school system, like globally. I think it's one of the most dumb things ever, and I know that a lot of teachers can be malicious about that stuff, but people can't mind read. If there's something wrong with you and they don't know, it's like not automatically their fault. You gotta just like there's like a whole bunch of complex reasons. It's not just like school bad. The teacher is notorious for falling asleep in the history class, so Gumby takes advantage of this and sneaks out to follow Draco Malfoy, who is tearing down posters about suicide. So this episode is half about Draco Malfoy, and meandering other bullshit is the other half. It's like this for the rest of this season, but as each episode goes, the meandering bullshit takes over, and it's like 30% about the person on the tape, so it's barely about the tapes. Sometimes you just kind of forget. Draco Malfoy then gets dragged off by the counselor, and this other dude is looking through the trash to publish shit for the school newspaper. I feel like that's what most journalists do. Draco Malfoy was going to the cinema one time by himself, and he took way too long in there, so people were getting concerned about what's going on with him. But the moon is more important, so they go off to do that instead. Everything then turns into sepia, meaning that things are serious, and some very appropriate music comes on to let you know that the scene is supposed to be spooky. Hannah goes on about bullying, and people making fun of her as if she's the only one who has suffered from that. So once again, the stupid list by Draco Malfoy has been brought up. We will find out later what it is, but it's being hyped up quite a lot for what it actually is. There's also more bullshit about her life being tough because she's a girl, which I call bullshit on because it's trying to paint a narrative as if like the entire show, especially from Hannah's perspective, is just I'm not like other girls, I'm special, but at the same time my life is tough because I'm a girl, and every woman universally has a tough life because men don't understand, but also I'm not like other girls, worship me.
You've never been a girl.
The list then gets brought up. It's some list about women. Each of them are likable because of some body part in a very sexualized way. Now I understand that this is an awkward thing and schools suck, they do that, but the show then later on acts as if women wouldn't do that sort of thing when absolutely they would. It's just one of those annoying things that happens in high schools, and they act like it's so bad that that's the thing that pushed Hannah to commit sudoku, and that's not. It's just so out of touch. Like, at a certain point, you're gonna have to be like, get the fuck over it. You know, that sounds so harsh for me to say, but seriously, you're blowing things way out of proportion. I understand being shocked about something like that. It wouldn't make me comfortable particularly. And again, I say this as someone who has had moments in like suicidal ideation and has depression and takes medication for that. I am in the same kind of area with being sensitive to those kind of things, but you gotta learn how to get over it. You just gotta learn how to get over it if you want to put your life together. And not a lot of people say that nowadays because they think that it's like everyone has to constantly be so overly sensitive, and everyone has to be too sensitive to say jokes, everyone has to be so sensitive about everything. Getting over it is just like a thing that you have to do, and it's not that simple just to say that, but it's something that people have forgotten, or it's just insensitive to say for some reason. I understand if you're dismissing someone's problems by telling them to get over it, that is rude, but just the fundamental idea of building yourself up with a thicker skin is something that this show doesn't understand, and I don't know how I'm supposed to relate to it.
But who you are now is okay.
No, it's not. So the thing is called the hot list, and she has the best ass or something, and she says that girls wouldn't do this when they absolutely do. The show's bias comes out. Hispanic friend then complains about rich white folk. Trust me, that's gonna come up in season 4. Hey, this isn't Haikyuu, I'm not interested in sports, get that off my screen. But Hannah had stormed into the boys' locker at one point to confront Draco Malfoy about his stupid list. They all start acting stupid, and when she leaves, they think that he was having sex with her, and they started another rumor about Hannah. Gumby was apparently witnessing this the entire time. Draco is also having a hard time concentrating in the present because I guess there's something wrong with him. But Jessica makes Justin come to school and this dude starts going off at him and making sassy noises. Gumby makes more awkward talk with the goth girl. Gumby, you need human lessons. Draco also shows up because they're meeting at the cafe to talk more about what happened. The weird robot girl talks about who tore the posters down and they're kind of brushing off any signs that Hannah might have given off. And apparently Draco is in some sort of shit too. Gumby's like,
I mean, did you put Hannah and Jessica on that list? I think she's right. Does everything that happened to her go back to you and that list?
As if it's the worst thing in the world, and Draco goes on about how Gumby is so slow with the tapes. Again, it's true. Gumby also mentions that he has anxiety and he doesn't want to rush the tapes because they mean a lot. Draco says that he's friends with the jocks because it's like convenient to and he can't back out now because he's in a tough spot, and says that he did the list because Jessica wouldn't have sex with him, which is one of the dumbest, most nonsensical motivators ever. So then he broke up with her and she thought that Hannah was involved and she was the one who had this whole conspiracy that Hannah was dating Draco and the whole cafe thing happened. He thinks that everyone made Hannah commit sudoku because everyone had painted a target on Hannah's back. The Hispanic dude is then brought up and apparently he's only in this for himself because he has some super secret motive that we'll get to later. Gumby just wanders off to the next location, which is the corner store where Hannah went to buy chocolate. The jock then checks out her ass, makes nut jokes, and squeezes her ass to sexually harass her.
You put a target on my... Well, it wasn't just my ass.
No, don't phrase the line like that, please. I get what you're going for, but that's just not a good way to say it, really. Sexual harassment is fucking terrible, but you're not doing any favors. Like, don't say it that way. Gumby, in the present time, then meets up with Jock, who is a dick and makes him buy a beer. The Jock's entire personality is just bad, and I get it, but again, not a good way to do it. I guess they're all gonna hang out, and by hang out, I mean drink with the alcoholics. Hispanic runs up and watches Gumby drinking because they make him drink, and Gumby walks over to Hispanic guy and almost gets hit by a fucking car. Hispanic dude is mad about what just happened, even though he should have seen them kind of being coerced into doing it, but he's also mad that Gumby doesn't trust him. Gumby then follows Hispanic dude, who he watches beating up some random guy and is mildly confused about this revelation. The jocks are then talking about shutting Gumby down, then pretending to be friends with him because of something concerning the tapes. They don't want him to go public with the tapes. Meanwhile, Gumby's robot mom is going off about how Gumby is drunk. He rode his bike while drunk. The horror! Gumby then gets grounded for 2 whole weeks, but before that can happen, the dad intervenes. Gumby then throws up and is clearly distressed and very confused, but the mom doesn't understand getting the other side of the argument or what might have happened to make this happen, whether or not it might have been entirely consensual. She's just mad because she's a lizard. Draco gets sad and cries by the pool. Gumby is still in distress. There's this really awkward music that plays and Draco Malfoy jumps into the pool for like 40 minutes and gets out.
No!
Hannah then ends this episode with a very ominous thing about being sneaky, and Gumby goes out the window. Not in the fun way. Why are you looking at the camera?
So...
Hannah talks about watching someone in secret, so this is about a stalker this episode. Man, if you look at people, did you know that you're like looking at people? When you look at the pictures, you're like looking at pictures. Hannah had a stalker. She is currently recording the tape outside her window. This idea of having her doing things like this and going around to these different locations, again, is a really, really cool idea. I really love the idea of him showing up there and cuts to her being there in like a metaphorical kind of way. It's really cool. I've had these comments before for those of you who have seen the Batwoman series that I've done, where I'm talking about all of these really cool ideas that are wasted on this show. I would absolutely love to see a better version of this sort of series. I really like the idea. One of my favorite tropes of all time is, you know, person shows up at small town that has quirks and secrets. I'm just kind of angry that that's kind of We kinda got scammed with this idea. Gumby gets scared by one of the jock friends wearing a stupid costume because Halloween's coming up and there's a contest at school. He explains that he didn't listen to the tapes except for the names and then pass them on to the next person because Hannah's dead, so they should focus more on moving on and they don't have to listen to what she has to say. He also brings up that she wasn't really treated differently from any other girl in school, which again is kind of true, but he's bringing it up with the show's agenda as if women have it so much harder compared to men and men don't really have any problems of their own, which is stupid. So the guy on the tape is Tyler, aka the guy with the camera, who is apparently watching Hannah, and people now throw rocks at his window because something on the tape revealed later will tell them to do so. But again, we're getting these tapes kind of out of context because Hannah has been revealed to at least be inferred to be an unreliable narrator. Even though Tyler is going to be a creep in this episode, there's no real in-depth analysis of why he's this way beyond some cliche surface level observations, and for not 1 second is anyone trying to think about what Hannah's motives might be for being an unreliable narrator. In a flashback, Gumby is talking about why zombies are retarded because he's stupid. They hug and he leaves, and the future him yells at himself as if he would have known, which is where the worst acting comes from. Like, no matter how bad the acting gets, as soon as he starts talking to himself out loud, it's really bad.
Asshole. Turn around, dude.
Hannah then hears a click.
Must have been the sound of a tree branch in the wind.
Ah yes, the rain sounded like Josuke's voice. She hears more clicks and looks out the window as she undresses and goes to bed. She goes to sleep, and as the clicks continue, she's so scared that she can't even get up and go close the blinds, so she just stares at it rooted to the spot. The parents had the pictures, and Gumby is now watching them out the window, so he knows that Tyler really did do some fucked up stuff because there's evidence for it. The dad then comes in and talks to Gumby about hangovers and lessons from hangovers for like 40 minutes. Actions have consequences. No, really, you coulda fooled me. This man isn't real either, he's a fucking lizard too. Here son, drink raw egg and live anew. He says that Gumby needs to open up more and he shouldn't close the bedroom door either because fuck privacy, am I right? The mom is at this lecture about suicide and depression. People ask about the lawsuit instead of staying on topic and keep going on about bullying. Bullying is like a keyword that they punched into the algorithm to write the script for this episode. Bullying bad. Hannah's mom makes a big deal about it as well and talks about how there was nasty stuff written on the bathroom wall. Again, it's not that big a deal, it's just stupid shit that people do. My school had that as well. How many of those were just jokes that the people themselves wrote on the wall with their friends as like an inside joke? You don't know that much of the context. It's shitty because school kids can be shitty, sure, but acting like it's one of the biggest reasons why someone would commit suicide is stupid. Tyler then avoids Gumby. Justin is back and gets mad at Gumby, so Gumby brings up that the person that he's dressed as, Sid Vicious, killed his girlfriend and then just walks away. The other jocks then invite Gumby to a party. Hispanic dude shows up just in time, like, no, help me, French words hard. And Gumby is like, no, why you no help me last night, fucker. Meanwhile, the principal is reading the bathroom notes.
I mean, what on earth is a cum dumpster?
I get this lady is upset, I really do, and having her character be like this is a great way to talk about blame and like how lost a parent feels. In the same way, I keep bringing up we need to talk about Kevin, but the way that the parents are portrayed is excellent in that movie about how lost they feel, especially in the end when they talk to him and it reveals that he's forgotten his motive. People reach for blame, yes, but this is not good. This is just a really long version of cyberbully again, except they're talking about bathrooms now. Meanwhile, Gumby isn't wearing a costume, which is apparently odd because if one does not wear a costume and enter the contest, they're depressed. This girl is the true genius here. Hannah had a sort of friendship with this girl and had talked to her about falling asleep in class. She didn't know what Hannah was worried about until they eventually bring up the stalker and decide to meet up and figure it out. They lie and make up some stuff about photography class, and the dad is kind of overbearing. This is the first time that this chick had ever lied to her parents, so she's pretty sheltered. Hannah thinks that it's some creepy dude who walks around with his umbrella down the street. Meanwhile, Tyler is giving his photos to the newspaper dude in present time. Gumby jump scares Tyler in his dark room and goes on about the tape and says that he needs to destroy the photos immediately.
I'm turning you in.
Sheriff Gumby is on the case. Tyler admits to looking at Hannah and stalking her, but says that he didn't mean to do the creepy things because he loved her, because he saw her because she didn't put a mask on, which totally doesn't sound like something a stalker would say. Hannah is unique and special, and she doesn't get it like other girls, and he would have never gotten her because Gumby never truly knew her either, but Cameraman was different.
I guess we're not so different, are we?
First Batwoman says this line and now this show. Is every bad show gonna say this? Is this line following me? Tyler says how it's pathetic how everyone celebrates themselves and Tyler is totally better than that. Gumby doesn't like this and goes to do a pee. Hispanic dude follows him into the bathroom and Gumby is warned that the jocks are lying and want to shut Gumby down. They keep saying that, but I don't know what it means. Gumby then asks why Hispanic dude was beating up some random dude and Hispanic dude don't like that. The counselor goes to buy diapers, then he has a riveting conversation with Hannah's father. Gumby drives along, Halloween hijinks happen. Gumby stops by and talks to Hannah's mom about how he knew her, and they have a bit of a conversation. Hannah's parents had wanted to go for a date night, and they were very concerned about Hannah, but she tells them to fuck off, so they do. And then she goes over their foolproof plan to catch the camera guy, aka shine a light in his face. In the present day, the mom doesn't want to give out candy because they have to deal with Hannah being gone. She asks if Gumby knew about the bullying, and Gumby doesn't have anything interesting to say. Meanwhile, the dad stands outside this big-ass door for a while, kinda just hangs out. Gumby gives the mom the tapes, and then she attacks him like a fucking zombie, and then he wakes up in the bathroom with a hallucination thing. This is like one of the most misplaced edits in the whole show. There's nothing like this in the 4 episodes that I've watched besides this. Maybe it continues in the next episodes, but it's so awkward. I don't even know what to say about it.
Matt and I used to call it a suicide. Well, I don't know.
Oh, by the way, this chick is actually British in real life. I think a bit of her accent come out there. They play truth or dare with each other until they take off their clothing and start kissing. Gumby was zoning out and the mom is like, what the fuck is going on, you dumb shit? She then mentions that she saw Gumby hanging out by the window before and says that it was actually a good thing and offers that they could help each other, and reveals that they never got a reason why this happened. These guys continue kissing until they see Tyler by the window and he runs off after taking pictures. This bitch then gets out and leaves, and it's revealed that she doesn't want to talk about the kissing because there's something complicated going on with her. Tyler gives Hannah the pictures and he tries to talk to her, but she's like, what the actual fuck are you doing? Everyone laughs about the picture that he took, but no one actually figured out who it was, even though this chick is very scared about it. Gumby then takes out the picture and looks at it. Hannah goes on about stalking and how we live in a society and bullshit like that. It's supposed to be deep. Gumby wants to go to the jock party, but Hispanic dude shows up and cancels all of his plans. They get all awkward over the table and Hispanic dude talks about the tapes, so Gumby says that he's gonna pass the project on to the next student. This conversation just continues and gets more awkward until the parents start noticing what's happening. Meanwhile, Hannah's dad wants to keep fighting the school and wants to bring up the reasons why, TM, Hannah is dead, but the mom is all mopey. The Hispanic dude says that he was punching the other guy because that guy had fucked up his sister somehow, and the police won't listen to him in his neighborhood because something privilege. This is, again, foreshadowing for another very terrible thing that happens in season 4. Then he drives away while Hannah's tapes are playing out the window. Then someone sends a package to the jocks, but it's just a red herring because they're all his dad's tapes. This dude then has a knife and has a bit of a crazy time. I guess the crack kicked in. Hannah was the one who threw the rock at the window when she was recording for the tapes, and now she makes everyone else do that. Gumby does a thing that shocks everyone. I don't really know what happened. And then this dude gets mad because he has a knife. But yeah, all those episodes, that's how it ends. I don't, my brain stopped functioning, sorry. It's pretty dumb. What do you think of this so far? Do you know how much potential this could have had? And none of it has any fucking... it feels good, doesn't it? It feels good to look at a series that really could have been good but wasn't. I love that feeling. I love waking up to the smell of depression in the morning. Anyways, I'm gonna fuck off now. Bye.